Hello, hello, and welcome to the Rock Metal Podcast. I am your host, John Harris, and today on the Rock Metal Podcast, we have Illumination Road, and they have a new EP coming out this summer called A Fool for the Dream. At this time, they've just released a banger of a new single called The Modern World, complete with music video. And right now I'm being joined by Chad to share some more information about this release and what the boys have got coming up. So Chad, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, John. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. Just cranking out some interviews today. Beautiful day. You said you're you said you're in the desert, so I imagine the weather is nice. Here in Canada, we're finally getting spring, so it's a good time of the year.
Lovely. Very excited for you. Was it a harsh winter? No,
it wasn't.
Yeah.
We only had our minus 20 for like about a month in February, but but otherwise, no, it actually wasn't a bad winter. But it's still dark, it's still gloomy, it's still gray.
It happens.
I know, but not for Illumination Road. So I guess take us through this EP. Now you mentioned it's 1 out of 2, and A Fool for the Dream is the hard rock EP, which I believe Modern World would then be a part of. Correct?
Correct. That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. Take us through this EP.
We haven't decided yet if it's going to be 5 or 6 songs coming out on this first EP that you just mentioned, A Fool for the Dream. Mm-hmm. We're going to be releasing 1, maybe 2 more singles over the course of the next 2 months or so, and then by July or August, still need to pen in that date, we'll be dropping in a 6-song EP. But during this time, we're also going to be releasing the other side of Illumination Road, the softer side, you could say. It's kind of aimed more towards Americana, while as like The Modern World and our next single, It Looks Like They Got to You Too, is more like the hard-hitting riff rock, talking about today's world problems. And, the lyrics definitely aim in the direction of like, we just came out of a pandemic that changed everything and everybody's frustrated and wants to get back out and see the new world. And then this other side of us that we're entitling A Fool for the Dream, or I'm sorry, that's the rock one, that we're entitling Life on the Western Shore, will be more the Americana, with like a hint of even some soft rock, bluegrass, more traditional instrumentation, a lot of acoustic driven type of stuff.
Okay. Does the decision to make one a particular genre have to do with the lyrical content?
Not necessarily. It was kind of Chris, the singer, and I, we were working on this project for a while now, and when we were at my old place over in Los Angeles, we were in the middle of producing this big rock album, super aggressive, kind of progressive type of rock. And in between sessions, like we were doing little acoustic jams, and we're just coming up with these new great songs that just had this great beachy California feel that we just really loved. And we just couldn't turn away from it completely. We love the rock stuff, but then like this other side to us is just like, wow, like we don't really have to pick or choose, and like we don't have to try to merge them together. There's no rules in the music industry anymore. We can just do whatever we want. So we decided just to stay true to that feeling that we had with this acoustic stuff. And I think it's coming out really well. I'm super excited for everybody to hear it. And so we just figured, let's just do it on 2 different EPs and give people different flavors. So if they want to put on a vinyl of some hard rock stuff, they can. Or if they want to, wake up in the morning, have their coffee with some more acoustic driven, softer melody type stuff, there's that too.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess it's not too different that you could have, I don't know, what are some things that happen in the music industry? Create a new band that would come out as a alter ego or sell the songs to another artist?
Right. I guess then that's totally possible, but we love the songs that we write, so we figure like we can hold on to all this stuff and we can play different sets or do whatever we want. We're trying to, I guess just break that mold of just the classic band type persona, where we all have different things that we do and that we're bringing into it. And I really think that, being that we can cover all this different ground within one group still, we might as well just go for it and just let everybody hear everything that we can do.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now, something you mentioned there, which I liked, quote unquote, the mold of the classic band persona.
Yeah.
Take us through that. How has that changed in the music industry over the last X amount of years?
Well, I think a lot of it is just because it's like such a DIY industry nowadays, and it's actually better if you can maintain your independence and integrity, without having to succumb to label pressures or anything along those lines. A lot of people get dragged through the mud when signing to a major label. Like all of us in the band have each experienced that with different groups that we've been in and different projects that we've been doing over the years. And we just see how that just kind of just kills the vibe of the group that came together a lot of the times. And, since we all come from like different worlds in a weird way, the four of us, and we all bring different things. And a couple of us are record producers. Me and the drummer, Michael, we actually, own a label together, and we produce records for a living. And we hit every genre in the world, and we just love all different types of music. And then our keys, guitar, mandolin player, Greg, who's just kind of multi-instrumentalist, can play everything. He comes in and he brings that very bluegrass Americana acoustic type vibe with his own influences. So with all these different influences and everybody's different talents, I mean, there's video talents that get pulled into that as well. Like, a couple of us work in video and film as well. So we just think that, we can do everything ourselves. We don't necessarily have to just call ourselves a band. Like, we can put out just video content if we want. We don't need to just put out albums and singles. We can put out whatever we want. It's just like an artistic group. So, we plan on kind of not just putting out music, but doing whatever the hell we want. And just seeing if people like it, and if not, cool. We got plenty of albums and songs coming out, so we're just going to produce all the content that we can and see what hits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm on the website right now. I'm looking at the list of clients that you have had the pleasure to work with, from Velvet Revolver, Fleetwood Mac, Sebastian Bach, and Corey Taylor. John 5, Slash. Ooh, even the Who. Okay, HU. The
Mongolian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
Killer
cool.
band.
Yeah. I guess from this experience that you've had, what's the big takeaway for you, especially when crafting your own approach to making music?
Gosh, it's kind of a blessing and a curse, to be able to produce your own stuff, because, and on one side of the coin, we get to do everything ourselves. It's just the four of us. We don't really need any other influence. We can bounce ideas off each other. But then also being a producer and I guess the perfectionism that comes with that, we never know when a song is done, and we've beaten songs to death. This project has been, brewing for a little while now, and I can take the blame for a lot of that, just because, I wanted it to be awesome and perfect and just really stand out. And I think with the modern world, we finally hit a vibe and a sound, and I can attribute that to, all four of us coming together and everybody bringing in their thing. But bringing in that experience working with other bands and being in the studio half of my life now has really been able to let me hone in on what original sound I can create, still sonically great, and something that pleases me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Making everybody else's records for years, and pleasing, other people and getting their dreams come true. It's my turn. I want to do this.
Yeah, exactly.
So here
it's Chad's turn.
Exactly.
Now, something you mentioned there was really interesting. How do you know when a song is done? I know that question comes up a lot, and I guess when you're working with artists, it's done when either the label says it's done or the artist says it's done, and you just know, okay, hands off. I could fix this guitar tone a little more, or I could, mess with the snare a little more, but label says it's done or artist says it's done, I'm sending it off. And you said you got basically to a point with the modern world where you're like, cool, this is it. Take us through that. How did you get there?
Gosh, it kind of is just a stroke of luck sometimes. When you have your own studio and we can, meet up whenever we want and work on stuff, it can be endless, oh my God, we can do this better. Well, this tone could be better. Oh, this isn't quite locked in enough. But it was just one of those lucky things. We finished up a session one day. We're like, okay, this is sounding cool. And we bounce it out. And that bounce just somehow had a magical mix to it. It's not necessarily a perfect mix per se, but it just had a thing to it. It's really funny, in the mixing phase, how you can just accidentally land on the vibe of the song. Yeah. It's not necessarily just a perfect mix between volume levels of all the instruments. Sometimes something, it all just glues together and there's a vibe there where it transports you to a spot. And when we went and listened to that later on outside of the studio, we're like, yeah, this works. This is great. Like, we don't need to touch it again. So we didn't. And so now we're chasing that with our next few songs.
Oh no.
Oh my God. Yeah, I know. It can be a little bit more difficult at times, but I think we're hitting a stride now, like where we found a sound that we like, and I think we'll be able to achieve that again. I hope. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed, I hope. The Modern World. What is this track about? Is this the pandemic?
It was actually, the lyrics for the song were actually written a while before the pandemic, quite a number of years before the pandemic, you could say. Chris and I have been making music together for about 7 or 8 years. And we previously had a project called Iron Heel, and we would tour that around, and like we were like a rock trio, like more throwback 70s type of riff rock. And it was a little bit more progressive and angry. And we had this song called The Modern World, and it was a completely different song back then. And we just loved the concept of it. And when we came back together and wanted like a little bit more stripped down and really focus on the vocal performance, all that type of stuff, we completely flipped the song upside down, but we just loved the lyrical content and the idea of it. So we just kept those lyrics, readjusted melodies and riffs, and it kind of fell into place of where it's at now, that I think, you know, it allows a lot more focus on those vocals and what Chris is saying. And I think his vocal performance really exudes the emotion of those lyrics a whole lot more, because it's pretty, you know, heavy lyrics. You know, it's talking about the world breaking down, and, you know, they're mixing poison with the medicine and all this stuff. Not that we're anti-vax or anything. Don't want to put that out there. But right. It's just that it's a bizarre world that we're living through, and we're like, okay, maybe this song just wasn't ready, and it just needed the right timing globally. So here we are, and it just seems to make sense with today's times.
Mm-hmm. Well, something else you mentioned that I picked up on, unless I misunderstood, was working on the arrangement so that the vocal has its place. And then that way the lyrics shine through more. Right.
Exactly. Yeah, originally the song was stacked with guitars. It was like very progressive type of way. It was just like an instrumental, just smashing in your face thing all the time. And, you know, we were trying to eke his vocals through there to really sit and have their place. And so when we redid it, we literally just started with the piano, and we didn't even like play piano complicated. It was just big whole notes with the chords. Boom, boom, boom. Like, let's start there, vocals, and then let's work around the vocals, just because that's the most important thing of any song, for me anyway, is just the vocal and the storytelling and that melody that can come through. So we just worked around that the best we could, and I think we got there.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe. I think so. I think it translates well.
Well, thank you.
You're quite welcome. I was actually just thinking of Photograph by Def Leppard, where in the chorus, where you think they would be adding in guitars and other instruments, those actually go away.
Ah.
And they bring in hordes of vocals, but a lot of people don't notice that until you actually listen to it. So it's kind of funny.
Oh, okay. I'll have to bust that out when we're done here.
That's right. Cool. It looks like they got to you too. That almost sounds scarcely political.
Political, emotional, all of it. Yeah. This is a song that actually is brand new and just kind of came to us when we were in the studio. When we finished when we finished The Modern Worlds, we're like, okay, we need to follow this up with another smashing banger that, you know, drives it home and contains the story that we're telling in this whole EP, A Fool for the Dream. This one is about any individual that just has gone through it all. And, whether it's dealing with the pandemic, whether it's dealing with personal life, your job, your relationship, whatever it is, it looks like it's like the breaking down. You ever see that movie, Falling Down, with Michael Douglas?
Mm-hmm. Been a while, but yeah.
Yeah, the worst day of his life, and everybody just keeps hammering home, and he turns into the bad guy at the end of the day just because everybody keeps smashing on him. It's kind of like that type of concept. Like, I could actually see that being the music video for this. Is a very Falling Down Michael Douglas type of thing, where it's just, oh my gosh, could it get any worse? Like, they're getting under your skin type of thing, but we're gonna win at the end. We're gonna come back out on top.
Yeah. So there's
spring, but then it's triumph at the end. We come out of it.
Yeah. Okay. So
I don't know if that made any sense.
yeah. I mean, I'm trying to like. So if the concept of the EP, like, well, the world sucks, but we can triumph.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's, it's kind of, sometimes you just got to ignore all the crap out there and just kind of focus on what you can do personally and what makes you feel good, what makes you succeed, and, the feelings that you get when you persevere and push through these hard times, and when you come out on top, like the feeling that you get at the end. Yeah, I mean, a fool for the dream kind of sounds like a really sad type of statement. It's like, oh, this poor sucker, like he has this dream and he just can't get through to it anymore just because the world just keeps bashing him. But I think that, being tested and going through these trials makes you stronger, and you come out on top and with more lessons and more appreciation for the good times.
Yeah. Yeah. Immediately where I went into my head when I heard a fool for the dream, something I've heard a lot is the American dream.
Yes.
Just being
Absolutely.
being suckered into that and chasing it, and at some point finding out that, or feeling anyway, that it's an illusion and it's not really something that is real or attainable or whatever.
I should be interviewing you about it. That's exactly right.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely correct.
Groovy. Now I'm also looking at the links for the studios. I'm over looking at a Escape right now, which is crazy.
It's pretty amazing. This is where I am currently. This is where I reside, out here in Pioneer Town, California. The place was founded by my good friend Rocco Gardner. He founded this place about 7 years ago. And a while back, him and I linked up. I'd come out here to do a record with my friend Matt Sorum from Guns N' Roses. And I fell in love with the place. I've always come out to the desert, but I've never experienced the desert like this. And it just so happened a house popped up right next door. And so Rocco and I teamed up. I built my own studio out here. And now we have a whole compound of recording studios, filming locations, a full spa, and like all the amenities so people can come in and enjoy themselves, be creative, create. And the artists that we've had come through have just been amazing. We've had incredible experiences here. I just finished up Billy Gibbons' most recent record here, and we're working on ZZ Top. We just had Usher here last week, so it's like a wide range of people that roll through, and it just has inspired Illumination Road, this place, to kind of encapsulate our entire sound and our entire vibe. Like the music video for The Modern World was shot here at Escape, and all the recordings are done right here. Cool. So yeah,
that
my new home.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Watching the music video for The Modern World was it then filmed where you are? And you just said yes.
Yeah, that is my home. That is at Escape.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
Now we have what appears to be a young lady, protagonist maybe, of the music video. Is there a storyboard to this music video? What were you guys going for?
The original concept was, we didn't completely abandon it, but it was due to weather and due to a number of different things. Up here in the high desert where we're at, it can also get cold. Not -20 Canada cold, but cold for the desert where we do get snow. And so the original idea was this poor girl is getting lost throughout the desert and falls asleep and wakes up in this new world where this band is playing right in front of her, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
It was just kind of a last minute idea that we felt fit the narrative of the song. And it kind of got trimmed down a little bit more, but the idea was, she pulls into Escape and finds herself amongst this band that's reminiscing about the good times when we could go out and play pre-pandemic, what have you. And she kind of gets to feel this alter ego of how we're all feeling, of remembering back to the good times when we can rock out and be together and play concerts and, live the lives that we all want to live.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm also curious, how does, say, for example, a Billy Gibbons or an Usher find out about the studio? Is it, I'll just leave it at that. How do, for example, in 1 week, do you get ZZ Top and then Usher?
Well, we haven't even actually marketed this place at all, so it's always been just word of mouth. So it's usually just friends that say, "Oh my gosh, you got to check out my buddy's studio, facility is out in Pioneer Town. I've worked with Billy Gibbons for years with my other buddy Matt Sorum, and we all just decided that this was the place to write and record an album. It's an easy sell. This place, it's just magical. It's when you think of the desert, you think of arid, desolate type of things, but there is just so much inspiration and life and space for creativity here, and no distractions like the city. So it's just easy to get people. So Usher was just through a friend, and he ended up staying for over a week just because he fell in love with it. And Gibbons, we'll have him back here shortly to work on some other stuff. It's just, it's really easy to pull people into this place and make them feel at home. Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool. We've been lucky.
Yeah. All right. Groovy. Sweet. So we chatted about a lot of things, Chad. We chatted about the song, Modern World, music video, The Modern World. We chatted about the studio escape. We chatted about some of the takeaways that you've had over the years of working with, for example, ZZ Top and Usher as the most recent example. Which is kind of funny. For a lot of people, they would say that those are artists' worlds apart, but are they really in terms of their goals? And
they still all need like the same type of inspiration to create, not necessarily the same type of inspiration, but they all need inspiration and a place to be creative. So I guess, they actually surprisingly have a lot more things in common than you'd think.
Yeah. Yeah. I would imagine at their level that they're probably pretty similar. They produce things differently, but it's still a song at the end of the day, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, and they just know how to bring a good team of people around them too. When Usher rolled in, he had this incredible band with him, and they did a live performance just for us down here, and they went through all of his hits, but then they started playing all of Thriller by Michael Jackson. And they're like, oh my God, these guys can do anything. And then they went into Pink Floyd. And the same thing with Gibbons here. Like, he'll be sitting on the couch and he'll just like break into a Riot Cooter song, or like tell us a story about Keith Richards or what have you. Yeah. And they just come from these different worlds, but all these stories and experiences kind of like, I don't know, fit together somehow. Mm-hmm. It's just still that creative musical world that we're all obsessed with. And, they all give me the same feeling of just excitement every time they're around and every time I get to work with them.
Yeah, very cool. And what else did we chat about today, Chad? We chatted about the mold of the classic band persona. We chatted about that at the very beginning. We chatted about perfectionism. How do you know when the song is done? When Usher says it's done, that's when the song is done.
Yeah, or your bank account.
Yeah, or your bank account. One of those two. We chatted about the EP, A Fool for the Dream, the hard rock side of life, and then we've got also as well Life on the Western Shore, the more Americana, softer side that is also going to be gracing our ears this year. Is there anything that I missed, Chad, that you wanted to chat about, that we had to chat about?
Oh my goodness, not that I can think of offhand. No, we're just excited to put this music out and hear what everybody thinks.
Sweet.
And I got to thank you for your time and great questions this morning.
Oh, well, thank you. You're quite welcome, sir. Great music. And I mean, if I can't come up with a question about the things that you do with your life, then I should find something else to do with my spare time. Groovy. All right. Well, Chad, thank you so much for coming on to the Rock Metal Podcast today.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Hello, or should I say goodbye? Thank you so much for listening to the Rock Metal Podcast. I've been your host, John Harris. Please head over to our website at www.therockmetalpodcast.ca. There you can sign up for our newsletter and find out more information about today's show.